Good morning. Today we are going to start and discuss fraud. Okay. Now section 17 is there, which is defining fraud. What is fraud? Fraud means and includes any of the following acts committed by a party to a contract or with his connivance or by his agent with intent to deceive another party thereto or his agent or to induce him to enter into contract. We have not yet seen the following acts, but the first paragraph of section 17 is telling that when a person with an intent to deceive another, either himself or through his agent or by his connivance, he is doing certain acts, certain following acts, then that will be called as fraud, because here the intention to deceive is there. So in fraud, intention to defraud, that is to deceive, must be present. Now we'll see what are the acts which can be called as fraud. There are 5 different points or 5 different acts. First is what? The suggestion as a fact of that which is not true by one who does not believe it to be true. Means when I am speaking with you, I'm having a knowledge that it is not true. So I have to tell you like that. You see, I am not having no knowledge about that, but I'm not doing that. I am having a knowledge that whatever I am telling, it is not true, means it is false, but I speak, then that will amount to fraud. The suggestion as a fact of that which is not true by one who does not believe it to be true. Second, the active concealment of a fact by one having knowledge or belief of the fact, means I know that there is something wrong here, I know it very much, but I am not telling you, I am concealing. So concealment also will amount to fraud, active concealment. Third is a promise made without the intention of performing it. I have discussed here before also that intention to enter into contract, intention to fulfill the terms of contract are very much essential. When I am entering into a contract, but my intention is that I am not going to perform it, I know it beforehand only that I am entering into a contract but I will not perform, then that also will amount to fraud. This is the third one. Fourth one is what? Any other act to deceive, fitted to deceive, means the first was not to be true, the knowledge is there, active concealment. Third is promise made without any intention of performing it, and the fourth is what? Any other act. The objective or when the act is been done, the person knows that I am going to deceive you, the person knows that he is going to deceive you, then that will amount to fraud. This is the fourth one. And the fifth one is any such act or omission as the law specifically declares it as fraudulent. When law declares that it is fraudulent act, and if you do it, then that will amount to fraud. And if fraud is there in a contract, then there is no free consent. Okay, got it? Means when fraud is there, the contract is voidable. The person, when he gets the knowledge about fraud, what he can do? He is having an option to either cancel it or either he can keep quiet so that the contract may continue. Okay, or here also he is having another remedy, that when he knows the fraud, he can come back and he can say, okay, I will continue the contract, but give me the difference of amount which is been defrauded. I am being cheated. I am being cheated for this amount. So okay, give back my amount, and he can continue the contract. These are the effects, these are the consequences if fraud is there. We'll just revise again. Fraud is what? When there is intention to deceive another person. He can do it himself or he can do it through his agent, or the act can be done with his connivance. So intention to deceive is very much essential. Why this intention is there? Because you want to induce the other person to enter into any agreement. When intention to deceive is there, and if 5 things are being committed, then that will be called as fraud. First is the suggestion of a fact that which is not true by one who does not believe it to be true. Active concealment, promise made without any intention to fulfill. any other act fitted to deceive. And the fifth is what? Any act or omission as the law declares it fraudulent. So we can consider that the essentials of fraud are what? The main first essential is that there must be intention to deceive. The intention to deceive makes the difference, because if intention to deceive is not there, then it will be called as misrepresentation. Okay, so a false representation been made knowingly or without belief in its truth, or recklessly without caring whether to checking whether it is true or not, an active concealment, that amounts to fraud. Now what are the essentials? There must be some representation. If representation is not there, then fraud will not be there. Means some kind of representation must be there, and this representation must be false. So first is what? There must be a false representation. Second is the representation must be made of a material fact, important matter in the contract, so that when I represent you that false thing, you rely upon it and you incur some liability or you enter into that agreement, then it will amount to fraud. Okay, so the first essential is what? A false representation being made. The second is what? The representation must relate to a material fact. Third is what? The representation must have been made before entering into contract. Means you want me to enter into contract and you are telling me certain things, that those are false representation with intention to deceive. After hearing you, after relying upon you, I enter into contract. So representation should be made before conclusion of the contract. The fourth is the representation or statement must have been made with the knowledge of falsity. With the knowledge of falsity, without belief in its truth, or recklessly not caring whether it is true or false. Next is what? Fifth is the other party must have induced to act upon the representation. Means whatever you are representing, I am relying upon that. I am induced to entering into an agreement. The other party must have relied upon the representation. And most important is what? The other party acting upon the representation must have suffered the loss. So if there is no loss, there is no fraud. You are making a representation and false representation, and what you are telling me that this property is like this is having this quality and all. Actually the quality is not there. You just want me to enter into an agreement, enter into a contract. I rely upon your statement and I enter into contract. I purchase that property, and luckily whatever you were telling, the quality, it is there in the property. So I'm not deceived then, isn't it? Because whatever you have told, that has become truth. So it will not become a false representation. But just take an opposite. You are telling me certain things, you are making false representation about the property, and actually the property has been purchased by me relying upon your words, and those things, those qualities are not present in the property. It means I am in loss. I have paid you the extra money, isn't it? Therefore that will amount to fraud. So what is fraud? There must be a false representation. The false representation must be made before conclusion of the contract. The false representation must be relating to the material fact. The representation or the statement must have been done with the knowledge of falsity or without belief in its truth, or recklessly not caring whether it is true or false. The other party must have relied upon and induced to enter into contract. The other party must have suffered loss. Then only it will be called as fraud. And what is the effect, or what are the consequences of fraud? When you commit a fraud against me, then what I can do? I can rescind the contract. I can cancel the contract. And I can file a case against you for getting compensation, damages. Or what I can do? I can insist you for the performance of contract, but I will tell you that I am being deceived by such and such amount, so better give me the money. Means the contract can continue only when you give me the money. Okay, so the consequences of contract of fraud is what? I can rescind the contract, I can sue for damages, Third is, I can insist on the performance of the contract on the condition that he shall be put into the position which he would have been if the representation had been true. Means if the property is worth 1 lakh actually, but because of your fraud I have purchased it for 1,50,000. When I come to know about the fraud, I can come to you and say, okay, you have committed the fraud, I can cancel the contract. But okay, I will not cancel the contract, I will continue it, but better give back by 50,000 because I am been deceived by 50,000. Okay, so these are the three, you can say, consequences of fraud. And silence is not fraud. Mere silence is not fraud. But in the previous lecture also I have told, but when silence is such which speaks for itself, when the circumstances of the case are that somebody is going to rely upon my silence and they may consider it as some other way, at that time I have to speak. When silence is in itself equivalent to speech, at that time I have to speak. If I don't do that, if I keep quiet, if I keep silence, then that silence will amount to fraud. Okay, got it? Bye bye. See you in the next video.